All right, so this section is going to go over solving logs. So if we look at number 1 and 2 together, remember when we're solving logs, we typically rewrite it to put it in that exponential form, which will then allow us to simplify. So for instance, anytime we have a natural log, remember that's the same thing as log base e. So if I rewrite that as log base e, I can then rewrite this as an exponential or an exponent and then solve from there. So if I rewrite this, right, e to the third power equals 3x plus 2. And so then if I'm solving for x, right, I could subtract 2 from both sides. E to the third is just a number. We can solve that for that in our calculator. So it's really that x that we're trying to get by itself. So if I subtract 2 from both sides, I'd have e to the third minus 2 equals 3x. So then if I divide by 3 and divide by 3, I have x equals e to the third minus 2 divided by 3. You can leave it in that form. You could also solve for it on your calculator and put it in decimal form. I would accept either at this point. So if I want to do that, there's a couple ways to get e on your calculator, but to make e an exponent, you're going to want to hit second and then that natural log button right there. So second here, and then that'll allow you to make an exponent for e. So I'd say e to the third, and then I could say minus 2. And then I might hit enter so that I remember I'm dividing all of that by 3. If I was going to write it in one line, I would have wanted to make sure this was in parentheses. So like I would have wanted to do this, this all together divided by 3 if I want to do it in one line. Either way gives you the same answer, right? If I take this e to the third minus 2, find the answer, and then hit divided by 3, I get that same value there. So it doesn't matter kind of which process you do. You just want to make sure that if you're going to type it in one line, that you put all of the numerator in parentheses. So we get that x equals 6.03. We'll round that up since we're only going to the hundredths place. All right, good. So before we can rewrite it, we've got to have the log by itself. So in this problem, I need to get rid of kind of this stuff over here that's next to the log. So I'm going to start by subtracting 7 from both sides. So then I have negative log base 3 of 2x minus 5 equals negative 2. Technically, this log is still not by itself because of that negative out in the front. So I'm going to want to divide both sides by negative 1. Then I have log base 3 of 2x minus 5 equals positive 2. And now I can rewrite that log to solve for x. So that would be 3 to the second power, and I'm going to write it over here because I'm just making this 3 to the second power equals 2x minus 5 when I rewrite. So 3 to the second power would give me 9. And then if I'm solving for x, I would add 5 to both sides. So then I get 14 equals 2x. And I get that x equals 7 as my answer. Remember, you always want to check for extraneous solutions. Remember, we can't take the log of a negative number. So if I was to plug that 7 in for x, 2 times 7 is 14 minus 5 is 9. So I'm okay there in solving because I'm not going to get a negative value. But you always want to make sure you're not going to get an extraneous answer. If you have a negative x value, you really want to make sure if you plug it into any of the logs that it wouldn't be negative. So go ahead and try 3 through 6, and then you can check those answers with the ones posted on Schoology.